Hi, welcome back. I think we're in for a treat this time. So I've got my script again, so we've got a fair bit going on. What you're going to see on the first part of this video is me having a chat with Gill Harvey-Bush. We do a podcast together. It's called Heads and Dovetails. It's not just about woodworking, it's about all sorts of things. Gill is a life coach. She sorts all sorts of things, people out and with things, and she's very good. And yeah, came up with the idea of Heads and Dovetails years ago. And we're on about episode 40 something. So we start off with the podcast, then we move on to the seats that I'm doing. The seats I'm doing, I'm now cutting off one of them. I'm cutting the bottom of the legs and I'm cutting the tops of the legs. Not quite level with the seat, so that's worth looking at. Walk the dog, talk about the shed within the shed. So you're going to see more of this in the future, a little bit more. There'll be more for people who join me on Patreon. So the idea is that Patreon will help me out a bit and you'll be able to watch ad free. So there you go. We've also got one of my evening class guys, Andrew, has recently finished his chisel box, and it's an unusual box. It's very unusual, and it's worth holding out till nearly the end for that. And then I'm putting some Danish oil on a seat, and I'm showing my tips on how I use Danish oil and what I do with it, and what makes it easier to work with, makes it easier for me. So there's that as well. So I hope you enjoy this. There's about 3 or 4 parts to this, so enjoy, and I will catch you later. Cheers. Good morning. Sometimes I'm editing, then sometimes I'm doing a podcast. And if you didn't know, I do a podcast with Gill Harvey-Bush, 4 minutes. So I'm early for a change, which is good. And I've got my coffee ready to go, so that's great. Search for Heads and Dovetails podcast on your favourite podcast provider. Episode what, 43? Yeah, well, episode 4, and you're still putting up with me. What is wrong with you? Right, let's get on with some proper work. Right, that's done. So the next thing is cut the tops off. No, cut the bottoms off. Chop these to length. Let's get the jig. I think you may have seen the jig already. This is a little jig I made. I've got to stand that up. But basically, it means I can cut them both at the same, mark them both at the same time. It's just easy. I'll see if I can show you. Right, here's that jig, and I can sit it on here, and I can just mark the bottom there, Those are now both the correct distance from the top, which is great. And this is how long it takes, so I don't have to get the table or get the seat all leveled up and wedged and whatever. It's just as easy as that. And now let's put that on the table and I'll show you. And I've just been using the press, and I thought it's time to give it a little bit of a wash down and just wash some of the muck off. And that excess water was needed in there. So, and I've also got sort of saved this. This is the excess from doing those. I've done 21 briquettes while the student's been getting on with some work, and this could probably, look how syrupy and thick it is. That could probably go back in there. It might make it a stickier batch, but I don't mind. I don't mind. And then we'll see where that goes. So there's probably only another 20 in there. So I'll try and get some of those done. But trying to get on with these as well. So I've got to mark the legs out, which I think you've seen in a previous post with me marking these out. This was marked off with my jig. So now I want to get these marked up and chopped off, which I'm going to do now. I'm heading home. This doesn't happen very often. It's 3:30 on a Tuesday, and it's so nice. The weather is so lovely. The bits I want to go on within the garden, so I need to be in the garden more. It's good for you. Gardening is good for you. So I'm going to get out there. I'm going to do a bit of tidying up, see how the shed's doing. I'm going to measure something up in the shed as well, so I might bring you along for that. And then I've got a night of wonderful editing again. I will get used to it. I will get used to it. But look at this. This is the sunshine. Isn't it amazing? It feels now like this is probably the sunniest day we've had this year. And I don't want to be in the workshop. I don't want to be in the workshop. I want to be in the sun, enjoying it, breathing the fresh air. I might catch you in a bit. We'll see. We'll see. If I really enjoy it, I might stay doing that and not doing. No, we'll see. Walking the dog. Let me show you. Doing all right. I'll show you the video of clip of what I've just done in the shed. It's gone all right actually. Which way do you want to go? Up here. So if you saw my live the other day, if you saw it and you could see through the bad quality, you'll have seen that I put this box on the wall in the shed, and this is to house my little planer thicknesser. This is from the mid-80s. Needs a bit of cleaning up, needs a little Robert job actually sorted on the top there, but basically I've made a carcass out of old pallets and the storage, and it is sitting up on some brackets. So it's not only fixed to the wall, well it isn't, it's actually just fixed to the brackets. The bit I did in here was about these panels and the way I fit the panels together using this little system. I will be making more panels in here soon. I don't think I'm doing the ceiling. Some of the conversation, that's quite warm, that's quite nice. It's mild outside today, so I don't think I'm going to cover the ceiling in anything, but I am going to finish the walling off and get some more boxes of storage done like this to utilise the bench I've got in here and do things for bits and pieces, storage for bits in shed, so that I can get to my bench. So that's the plan, that's what I'm planning on doing. But yeah, biggish box, but it'll also be its something to carry it around in if I need to ship it anywhere. It fits, it's pretty good. Job done. Well, it's got to the stage where I need to get some finish on one of these seats. You can see another one in the background there. This one needs finishing. It's all been sanded down to 600 grit and raised the grain, which, if you don't know what that is, basically it means dampening the wood. The fibres get wet. When they dry out, they stick up in the air, and you just denib. You just basically gently sand it again to take away those fibres that are standing up, so that all the fibres there are sitting down. Once all the fibres are lying down flat, then you get to put your first coat on, which is what I'm doing here. I like using Danish Oil. You can follow the instructions on the tin, but I actually find that if you give it a pretty good first coat, you can then, and you go over a whole thing. Now this was a 9-minute clip and I've cut it right back, so I'm going to just skip forward a second and show you that I'm now going over that wet Danish Oil with 600 grit sandpaper. Now I find that with 600 grit sandpaper, it's sort of denibbing, it's sort of drying it out, the oil, it's moving the oil around instead of taking it off with a cloth and then getting that cloth wet with oil, the excess oil. Basically sanding it, just a light sand is evening it out. It's evening it out. So I find 2 coats like this is almost like 3 coats to the instructions, which can take 24 hours to dry each coat. So this saves me days, so it's well worth doing. Once all the sanding has evened it all out, I'll then go over with a soft cloth as I'm here drying it all out. So this is it. It's Thursday night right now, and it's dark outside. Everybody's gone home, all the guys have gone, and it's it's 7:30, 8:15. And this is Andrew's chisel box, and I want to show you because it is very different. It's Andrew likes arty things, and let me put some light on this. Look at this for a box, the attention to detail that has gone into this box. Drop my phone. Right, all out of oak, a piece of oak that he found somewhere, I think. It's got a curved lip to the edge. It's got some almost through mortise and tenons on the end here. We've got this weird hinge thing going on. Everything that Andrew wanted to do, I tried to persuade him not to, but he did it. And it's for his set of chisels. And this is what he wanted to do. It works really well. That's a really nice smooth action. The end of the chisel goes through, down at an angle, drops in place. The inner parts of these, where the curvature goes in, is where it sits in its best position, and they look great in there. He's been working on these. These aren't necessarily the best chisels in the world, but you know what? He's worked hard them, and they are razor sharp. So this man knows how to sharpen tools now. So he's great. But yeah, this is it. It's isn't it different? And the idea is that, I mean, I get most of them to make a chisel box. The idea is that you have your box on the bench when you're working, and you can pick up the chisel you need, and it's all there for you. Quite a bit of thought's gone into this. Smaller chisel at the back so that it's easier to get out, which is nice. The lid with its pivot point down there, it's just a couple of brass screws so that if anything goes wrong with it, it's held open by that, so that you don't have to deal with a separate lid. No, he's done great. He's done great. It looks really good. So yeah, he's oiled it this week, and he's proud as punch, and he should be. Oh, it's got feet as well. I don't know whether I can show you the feet. It's got feet under there. It's brilliant. He's done really well. I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased that he's over the moon with it. So that's a win for me. And he's one of the good ones. Right, so there you go. That's Andrew's box. Isn't it good? He's done great. Yeah, enjoy this episode. And if it gets a bit, just go to the comments. Look through the comments. There's some great comments usually, and have a chat on there. Community. Say what you feel. Put it in there. And enjoy. See you later. just gone to go home. It's time is it? 7:30 Thursday night. Pitch black outside. The key on the remote control of my car stopped working, so I've just come back in. I've got a stash of batteries over there. Let me show you. Taken it apart, sorted it out. Good thing about having some batteries in stock. Best thing to do whenever you've got a remote control, get a few of the batteries. And my other tip is get a video on how to change the battery in your phone on a playlist so that you know where it is. And then because you put it on a playlist, I've literally watched the video in the time it's taken to walk back to my workshop, and I can now go back out to the car, and it's taken me 5 minutes. I've even got a spare battery in my bag to make sure that if I'm out and about and I need to do it, I can watch the video. Only need my fingernails. As I said, there's a battery in my bag. Swap it over. Always have a spare battery for your remote, because it's a pain in the neck if you haven't. Anyway, another end of the day. Going home.